The day I found the necklace was the day everything changed. I had been exploring the derelict city on Zoria 6, a planet that glowed under a double sun and hummed with the whispers of a long-lost civilization. My name is Kale, a salvage pilot and part-time historian of forgotten worlds. The Council had warned me about Zoria 6, that it was abandoned for good reason, that the ruins were unstable and dangerous. But I was drawn to its silence, its abandoned towers that rose like skeletal fingers against the twilight sky. It was in the ruins of a palace, half buried in crystallized dust, that I stumbled upon it. A necklace unlike any I had ever seen. It wasn't gold, not by any human standard. Its chain seemed woven from a silvery substance that shimmered with a light of its own, as if it carried a star trapped inside. The pendant was a small, crystalline sphere, iridescent and pulsing faintly, almost like a heartbeat. I instinctively knew it was important, not just valuable, but significant in ways my mind couldn't yet comprehend. I pocketed the necklace, thinking little of the consequences. That evening, as I camped near the ruins, the crystal sphere began to hum softly, a vibration I could feel through my chest. I held it close, and in that moment, the stars above Zoria 6 seemed to align differently, as if acknowledging the presence of the pendant. I didn't understand it yet, but I sensed I had awoken something ancient. 2 days later, as I attempted to leave the planet, my ship was pulled into a gravitational anomaly. My navigation systems failed, and I crash-landed on an unknown continent shrouded in a dense, lavender mist. When I emerged from the wreckage, I was met not with the expected hostility of alien fauna, but by a procession, tall figures cloaked in iridescent armor, their movements graceful and precise. They carried weapons, yes, but they did not aim them at me. Instead, they parted as a woman approached. Her presence was overwhelming. She was taller than any human, with eyes the color of liquid moonlight and hair that shimmered like strands of silver silk. Even before she spoke, I knew she was royalty. Something in the air shifted when she entered the clearing. It was not just authority, but an aura of power so commanding that I felt simultaneously honored and insignificant. "Kale," she said, her voice echoing not just in the air but inside my mind. "I've been waiting for you." I froze. I had never met her before in my life. I think you have me mistaken for someone else." She smiled, but it was not a smile of amusement. It was recognition, deep and certain. Her gaze fell to the necklace around my neck. That necklace," she whispered, taking a step closer. Her eyes glowed faintly. "It belonged to the line of queens. You should not have it." "I found it," I said, defensive yet mesmerized by her aura, "in the ruins of an old palace. I had no idea it belonged to anyone." Her expression softened, but there was still a weight behind her eyes. "No human has held it in millennia." "How?" She shook her head, as if trying to reconcile something impossible. "It is no accident. You were meant to find it, Kale." I laughed nervously. "Me? Meant to find it? I'm just a scavenger." "I don't understand." "You will," she interrupted gently. "Come with me. There is no time to explain fully here." She led me through the mist, and as we walked, the landscape changed subtly, as if responding to her presence. Trees seemed to lean toward us, flowers unfurling as we passed. Birds with translucent wings followed at a distance, their calls harmonious, almost melodic. I felt like I had stepped into a dream, a world where the laws of nature bent around a consciousness far older than my own. We reached a palace carved from crystal and metal, suspended on cliffs that floated above a sea of clouds. She gestured for me to enter. Inside, it was vast, the ceilings arching impossibly high, illuminated by light that seemed to come from no source I could identify. Holographic images flickered in the corners of the room, maps of stars, planetary systems, histories of civilizations long gone. She finally spoke fully. "I am Queen Aerolith of the Solari Dominion," she said, "and the necklace you carry is not merely ornamental. It is a key, a symbol, and a conduit. It chooses its bearer. It chose you, Kale." I shook my head, still trying to digest her words. "I'm human. I'm not special. I don't belong here." "You belong where destiny calls, Kale." The Solari Dominion faces a threat unlike any in its history. A void entity moves between the stars, consuming worlds, erasing histories. The necklace sensed the approach of this darkness and called to a protector. That protector is you. I wanted to laugh. A void entity, destiny, ancient powers. It sounded insane. Yet, when she looked at me, her gaze was unwavering. In her eyes, I saw a truth I could not ignore. She extended her hand. "Join me. Learn what you must. Together, we can save not just my people, but the galaxy." I hesitated. This was madness. I didn't even know how to pilot a Solari vessel, let alone face cosmic horrors. But something deep within me, a sense I had ignored all my life, stirred. Perhaps, somewhere, this had always been my path. "I'll come," I said finally, my voice trembling. Her smile returned, brighter now, filled with relief and something warmer, more intimate. "Good. Then your journey begins." Over the following weeks, I learned things that would have shattered my mind had I not accepted them fully. Queen Aerolith taught me the history of her people, the Solari, an ancient race who had once mapped the fabric of reality itself. I learned to wield the necklace, to channel its energy, and to sense threats that moved not through space, but through time and possibility. I trained daily, under her guidance, learning how to interface with Solari technology, how to anticipate the movements of enemies that had no form in the conventional sense. It was grueling and often terrifying. There were nights I questioned my own sanity, staring at the stars and feeling the void pressing closer. But Aerolith never faltered. She was a constant presence, steady and powerful, guiding me without ever dismissing my fears. One night, as we practiced in the zero-gravity chamber of her palace, she stopped abruptly, her eyes fixed on the pendant around my neck. "The void is near," she whispered. The chamber's lights dimmed as if sensing the approaching danger. I felt it too, a cold, consuming emptiness that gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. It was no longer a distant threat. It was here. Aerolith's voice cut through the tension. "Kale, focus on the necklace. It is the anchor. Through it, we can channel energy strong enough to push the void back. You must trust it and trust yourself." I obeyed, gripping the necklace tightly. A warm pulse ran through me, filling the void inside my chest with a light that pushed against the darkness creeping into the chamber. The energy built, expanding, intertwining with Aerolith's own power. Together, we became a singular force, light against the encroaching void. The battle felt eternal, as if time itself had paused. But slowly, the darkness retreated, writhing and shrieking as it was expelled from our dimension. When the last tendrils of the void dissolved into nothingness, the chamber was silent. Aerolith turned to me, her expression a mixture of awe and relief. "You did it, Kale. You truly are the bearer of the necklace." I was exhausted, trembling, and exhilarated all at once. "We did it," I corrected, finally understanding that our victory was shared, inseparable. She approached, placing her hand over mine on the pendant. Her gaze was piercing yet gentle. "Kale, I have something more to ask of you." I looked at her, heart hammering. Anything. She smiled, a real smile that touched her eyes. Join me, not just as an ally, not just as a protector, but as a partner. The Solari have never invited a human into our highest council, but I want you by my side. Not because you are human, but because you are the one who carries the light that can save us all. I felt the weight of her words. It was more than honor. It was trust, acceptance, a bond that transcended species, history, and logic. My throat tightened. I said. I will stand by you. Her hand lingered on mine. Then the future begins, Kale. Together, we will face whatever comes. In that moment, I realized that the necklace had been more than a key or a conduit. It had been a bridge between species, between worlds, and now, between two lives intertwined by fate. The stars above Zoria, six shimmered, reflecting the promise of new beginnings. We left the palace at dawn, aboard a vessel that hummed with Solari energy. I watched Aerolith as she piloted us into the skies, her presence a constant reassurance. I no longer felt like an outsider. I felt like part of something vast, a purpose larger than I had ever imagined. The universe stretched out before us, full of wonders, dangers, and mysteries yet to unfold. And as I looked at the pendant resting against my chest, I understood fully what it meant to carry the light, and to answer the call that destiny had long awaited. Queen Aerolith had recognized the necklace, and in doing so, had recognized me. Together, we would face the darkness, rewrite histories, and perhaps carve out a future where our two worlds could finally coexist. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was meant to be.